Ram fans, Mark from Rams Up here, and I have another friend of the show back with us, Ernesto Salgado. Good morning, Ernesto. Or what time is it there where you're at?
It's an hour later. Now it's 9:30 in the morning here on a Saturday the 10th.
And share with our viewers, where do you live?
Okay, I live in Puebla, Mexico, and here's it's a city nearby Mexico City, not very far away from, in the center of the country.
Yeah, and for those of you who are unaware, what was it, about a year ago? Ernesto reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, you should have Ram fans on the show and just talk Rams football." And so I had Ernesto on, and that was the beginning of our Rapping with Ram Fans segments. So we've done, I don't know, 8 or 9 of those. We've talked to Ernesto from Mexico. We've had Peo Time from Canada on a couple of times, and Ram fans from all over the country. And we're going to continue to do that. So just a reminder, if you're a Ram fan that wants to jump on and talk Rams football, let me know. But Ernesto was the he was the first guy I had on, and it worked out really good. And I enjoy talking to you. So tell me, how do you watch the Rams, the NFL draft, or do you watch it?
Yes, we had it here on NFL Network.
And do you how do you do a lot of homework on that? Do you have a list of guys you want the Rams to pick, or do you just follow along for fun?
Okay, I used to, but this year I was so busy at work, so I couldn't have the real time to do all the mock drafts and stuff like that, and the analysis of the potential players that the Rams could have drafted.
Yeah, fair enough. I used to get really into it. Before I started doing the podcast, I'd have a list of, like, all these players that I thought they should pick, and crossing them out and figuring out who is going to still be there when the Rams pick. And then, I stopped doing that, doing a deep dive on it. Then when I started the podcast, I started doing 20 mock drafts a year and trying to predict what they're going to do. And with a little bit of success, but it's really difficult to predict what Les Snead and Sean McVay are going to do. They always have a plan, and we're not privy to it, obviously. So, are you planning on getting to a game this year? The schedule's coming out soon. I know go ahead.
Yeah, it depends on next Wednesday how the schedule turns out. It could be possible.
Yeah, nice. Because you missed out last year, correct?
Yeah, I couldn't go this year. I'm only planning. I have to go to Chicago to a surgical meeting, but we can arrange something to go to watch a game, a Rams game.
Yeah, somewhere. We'll talk about that more at the end here. That's one of my fearsome 4 questions for you, so I'll save that for later. Hey, what do you think the Rams are going to do at tight end with this Terrence Ferguson, the rookie, Tyler Higbee coming back from an injury, Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen? That's one of the mysteries, I think, with this team. What's going to happen with the tight end position? You have any thoughts on that?
Yes. Even though tight end, it's a very, very difficult position to learn as a rookie, and to start playing, and the transition from college to pro, it's very hard to do. Sean McVay is really known for having 11 personnel, but I think with Higbee getting up in age, and I think Colby Parkinson, the experiment didn't work as planned. I think they're going to try to fit him here earlier, and probably they will start playing more 12 personnel.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, and that would be an argument for keeping the 4 tight ends. And so they draft a running back. I'm just going to throw some random questions at you here just to get your thoughts on stuff. They draft another running back every year. Sean McVay has drafted a running back. Do you think this is, a red flag for Kyron Williams? Should he be interpreting this in a particular way? Is it just business as usual? Do you think the Rams are going to try to? Maybe we have to see what Jarquez Hunter and Blake Corum can do on the field. But what do you think Kyron Williams' future with the Rams is beyond 2025?
I don't think it's a red flag or something. They have been doing that for the last 9 years in a row, that selecting a running back, and probably the first year they draft a young rookie running back, they don't play him at all. Kyron didn't see the field, didn't saw the field in his first year. So as quorum, and I don't think this kid from Jarquez Hunter, he's not going to see the field not much at all. I think they're going to do a little bit by committee between now quorum. I think he's going to get much more playing time because he has been 1 year with the system, learning the playbook. He's going to do more share of a load than Kyron. Kyron should be the RB1, but I don't think that this new running back, he's going to see the field a lot. He's going to be just learning the system.
Yeah, my prediction is the first time Kyron fumbles in a critical situation, Blake Corum will start getting a lot more carries. Hey, how do you
Yes.
feel about this switch at center? Coleman Shelton being signed and Bo Limmer basically. It sounds like they've already made the decision that Bo Limmer is the backup. How do you feel about that?
Okay. It was heartbreaking to see the season, in the last critical place, to see the season go down because of missed block from the rookie center. But he did an exceptional job, um, filling up for a position. I think he was a six rounder, and he did extremely good job. Probably because he's too young, but he could be developing and getting through, learning the position. But Coleman Shelton should be the guy for a run at that championship season. He should be.
Yeah, and it's if nothing else, having Bo Limmer on the bench, it really I feel much better about our depth along the interior offensive line. We got a bunch of guys. I tried to do a roster. I don't want to call it a roster prediction. It was an experiment a few days ago, trying to demonstrate the decisions the Rams are going to have to make. And the interior offensive line, they got a lot of options, a lot of good options, I think. A little more concerned about the tackle position, not the starters, but, depth-wise. So let's talk about the wide receiver group. It's obvious that Devontae and Puka are going to be number one and number two, pick your order. And then there's some options as the number three wide receiver. I'm expecting it to be Jordan Whittington. Would you agree?
I do agree. I do agree. I like Whittington. He's a great player. He has the size. He can block. He can do most of the things that Rams wide receiver should do, and he's set for that.
Right.
But they resigned Tutu, and they gave him $10 million, and he has always responded when he's called upon. He's When some team tries to take out last year Puka, he really came out and did what he was hired for. So Tutu could be a surprise. Jordan
Yeah.
Whittington, he's going to have that number three, wide receiver three job.
Yeah, and a lot of people were celebrating Demarcus Robinson's contributions last year, and fairly so. And at the same time, kind of, I don't think Tutu gets a lot of respect, but if you look at the production by snap, Tutu Atwell far exceeded Demarcus. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's not even close. When Tutu made the most of his opportunities, he really did. And the other thing we have to remember is, 12 personnel, 12 personnel, 12 personnel. Everybody wants the Rams to go to 12 personnel. Well, what that means is a wide receiver comes off the field, right?
Yeah.
So now you're, it doesn't necessarily mean Devontae and Puka and Terrence Ferguson and Higbee. They're going to find the best combinations. Maybe it's Tutu out there in 12 personnel. Maybe they, find, 12 personnel will be better suited for two particular wide receivers. One of them would be Devontae or Puka, but I guess what I'm getting at is it remains to be seen, what that strategy is going to be. But what I like about Tutu, as I mentioned, he makes the most of his opportunities, and if you run him out there, whether it be 11 or 12 personnel, it keeps defenses honest for sure, right?
Yes.
So
Every time he's called upon, he responds.
yeah, he's had some big catches. That big catch against the 49ers. He had a big catch against the Lions. Um, I forget which game it was. We played the Lions a handful of times for the last few years, but yeah, so that'll be fun to watch.
He had a
And
big catch against the Bills. I think it was to end the game. He was really instrumental for that victory over the Bills.
yeah, and when we can forget about Tutu as a returner. I think we got plenty of guys in house that can take care of those duties, and I think that was a mistake the Rams made a couple years ago. Is it might have been his rookie year. I think he got hurt immediately,
Yes.
and so okay, end that experiment. Um, so at the quarterback position, we're pretty squared away, obviously. Now Stetson Bennett, I don't know what he's hopefully not. I'm not banging on throwing shade on Stetson Bennett, but hopefully we never see him this season. And I think we'll address the backup quarterback or the move on, find our next great starting quarterback next year in the draft is what I'm thinking. So let's jump over to the defense. So the one pick that kind of surprised me was Josiah Stewart, the edge rusher, and so I got that wrong. People were telling me, that you need to draft edge rushers. You can never have enough of them. And I was like, well, we got Byron Young, we got Jared Verse, we drafted Brennan Jackson last year. Nick Hampton is no slouch. Keir Thomas. And there's just other things to address. And even given that we ended up with only 6 picks, I'm still surprised. But at the same time, this dude looks like a player, doesn't he?
Yes, yes. They tried to recruit later in the draft edge rushers, but it didn't work at all. So I think they went in the draft the BPA, the BPA best player available, and I think that was really good because um, uh, uh, we lost some valuable players that went to the Bills, and he's going to fill that role.
Right. Yeah, he looks like, and he's tenacious. They say the same things about him that they said about Brennan Jackson last year. Brennan Jackson, they said, was like one of the nastiest players, on the field. And Josiah Stewart just plays with, 100% energy constantly. So a high energy guy, those guys always, you got to lean towards those guys when you're trying to. That could be the difference. You got 3 or 4 guys you want to take. You're going to take the guy that brings it every down.
Yes, and
Um,
he probably will be a rotational player because playing defense at 100% full time it's very hard to do. So
yeah, right.
you're gonna have an excess of pass rushers. They're not enough. We can have plenty of them.
Right. Now, I think perhaps the biggest move the Rams made between the draft and undrafted free agents was the signing of Puna Ford. This is a really big deal given what the Rams struggled with last year, stopping the run. And I know Charger fans were pretty upset that they let him slip out. But you agree? I mean, a lot of people are going to say Devontae Adams is a pretty big deal too, and it is. But you can't overlook this Puna Ford edition, right?
Yes, yes. He's a very big man. He's designed to stop the run, and that's what hurts us the last two games against the Eagles. The big runs, we had no answer for that. So that's an Achilles tendon, and they did well reestablishing that, analyzing that problem, that it's going to be a very hard problem because we have to face the McCaffreys and all the running teams that do really well, like the Eagles.
Now, let me ask you this. That's part of the stopping the run. That's the first part of it. Getting a guy like Puna Ford and maybe another big body, and we got a couple of good run stoppers in the draft. Well, we got the one Ty Hamilton and an undrafted free agents. There's a couple of guys that might be able to help us out there, bigger bodies. But the linebackers are a big part of that too, and they left a little bit to be desired last year. I'm happy with Omar Spates, and I think Pooh Paul I'm predicting he could potentially be a starter, or with the way the Rams run their defense, a starting linebacker maybe only out there for half the time. But I think we've really made some improvements there too. Nate Landman, Troy Reader, I think is just a placeholder until they figure it out. But so how do you feel about the linebacker position? I'm thinking Spates and Pooh Paul at some point will be the main two contributors, with Nate Landman sort of as a security blanket for both of them.
Yes, yes. It's been years since that position has been neglected. Um, with all respect for all the players, but having a whole bunch of UDFA, undrafted free agents, it's hard to have a competent team, and the addition of these Poo Paul player, it's going to be very, very, very significant for the linebacker position. Also, there's an undrafted free agent, that it's Sean Dolak.
Right.
He really can surprise us, and he could step ahead of Troy Reader.
Yeah, you stole my thunder there. I was going to I initially forgot about him, and as you were speaking, I was like, I got to talk about Sean Dolak, and this is a guy that he has none of the measurables really to be a successful NFL linebacker, but then you watch a man, and it's like, holy cow, this guy just makes plays, produces.
He plays hard.
Yeah, and he just tackles people, doesn't miss tackles. He's good at pretty decent in pass coverage too. Just a football player. And I want to bounce back to offense for 1 second. We'll continue with we'll talk about the secondary here in a second. And a guy I forgot to talk about. Have you heard of? Are you familiar with the undrafted guard Willie Lampkin?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He's another guy that really excites me, and it's just really, he's probably a long shot due to his size, but Ram fans go. Yeah, right. He's like 5'11", 280. And if the Rams can find a way to make him work, or, put on a little bit of weight, still only 5'11", though, but Ram fans, go check him out, watch some film on him. It's usually not a lot of fun watching guard highlight film, but Willie Lampkin is pretty special. Check him out.
He can take two guys at one time. He's good.
Right,
he's good.
Right. Yeah.
He's amazing. The problem is he's small. He's small
right.
for the position. But if he would have been bigger, he should be. Could be our second rounder or something.
Right, right. Lance Zierlein went on and on about him, said he had the best guard tape in the entire NCAA, all of college football. So let's talk about the secondary. So the first question is, I don't know how you're feeling about the Jalen Ramsey return. It kind of excites me just because a guy with swag. Are you rooting for a return of Jalen Ramsey?
Okay, yes, yes. Even though he's getting up in age, he's in the 30s, but he could play the star role and let the other guys play in the outside. He should be he could thrive there in that position in star role, and he could be a better addition to the team, and with having a better pass rush, the
Right.
the the responsibility of the defensive backs is not going to be so demanding. Our pass rush is better, so we can afford to have not very good DBs, but having him here in the star role could be an improvement for the team.
Yeah, it'd be a domino effect, right? But leave Darius and Akilo on the corners and Durant sprinkle him in, Darion Kendrick coming back. You let Ramsey take handle that star role,
And
and
Williams
then
in the other side.
right, and then you have Quentin Lake. You can put him back at safety, and then you got Cameron Curl, Cam Kinchins, Jalen McCullough. It's a really good group. Now, I don't know if there's anybody in that group that's going to be, get a sniff of the Pro Bowl, but as a unit, pretty darn solid, right? So that's
Totally
exciting.
agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
It's a solid team. It's a solid group, but not no. There's no one that excels, but playing together, they're a very very good team. And with improvement of the pass rush, there shouldn't be no problem for having the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys, Jalen Ramsey included, would take a Super Bowl ring over a Pro Bowl appearance at this point. That's what it's all about. And special teams, we signed Britton Covey as a potential returner. Uh, and, there's a couple of guys, undrafted free agents, that could fill that role. If Jordan, it just occurred to me, if the Rams are really planning on Jordan Whittington filling that number 3 spot, maybe that's behind the signing of Covey. They don't want Whittington to have to take on that role anymore. That could be what's happening here, right? Let Covey handle the returns.
Yes, and because of the change of the rule, the
Right.
touchback rule, no more teams are going to wanting to have to start in the 35. So I think it's going to be more. There are going to be more returns. So having Jordan Whittington that did exceptional job there, and even though he was drafted, he was consensus that he was one of the best returners in the league or as a rookie, but I think his job is going to be a full time receiver, and the this kid that they pick up from the Eagles, he should be the main returner for the special
So,
teams.
so are you thinking Covey is more or less a lock on this roster? How do you feel about that?
Yes, they signed him for that. They he's going to have that job, and
Go ahead.
they haven't looked no more not much at special teams. They didn't have an undrafted punter or an undrafted kicker for the camp, so that's the only guy that they looked for in the signings in the off season. So probably he should be making the roster.
Yeah, and I encourage Ram fans to walk through an exercise trying to identify. You're probably looking at about 25 players on offense, including a returner, and It's tough. There's going to be some tough cuts. There
Do
really
you
are.
remember? Do you remember at the start of the season who were the returners? They were Kyron and Corum. They were the punts and to start the season. So that should be taken care of.
Yeah, right. So it's going to be it's a good problem to have on the offensive side, especially. There's going to be some tough cuts. There really are. 4 running backs, 3 quarterbacks, 6 or 7 receivers, 9 offensive linemen, 3 or 4 tight ends, and it's tough. And there's always going to be some people that get dinged up that helps you make the decisions. But we're not certainly don't want to see that. Well, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really interesting seeing how the Rams manage this roster and getting it down to 53. It's way too early to be talking about that, though. There's too much is going to happen. There's going to be some probably going to be some post June 1st cuts potentially and signings. So we'll see what happens. Hey, you ready for my fearsome 4 questions? I have 4 questions for you. I'm going to throw at you. They're softball questions, more or less how you feel about stuff. And for those of you short-time listeners, I used to do this a lot. My fearsome 4 questions, where I'd throw out questions and try to provide the answer. Today, Ernesto is going to give us the answers. How about that? So let's get started.
Bring them on.
Okay, here's a list of the Ram draft picks: Terrence Ferguson, Josiah Stewart, Jarquez Hunter, Ty Hamilton, Pooh Paul, and Konate Mumpfield. So which one's your favorite? What pick did you just love to death of all these picks? And I still got Josiah Stewart's name spelled wrong. I got to fix that.
Okay. I think for me, my favorite pick would be Pooh Paul, Chris Paul.
Yeah, 5th round. It appears to be really good value because I think, if I remember correctly, I think he was slated for the 4th round, if not even a little earlier.
Yes, he's my favorite guy from the draft.
Yeah, and he's I think anytime the Rams draft a linebacker, we have to be a little excited, yes. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy because I had this I've had this discussion many times. If you stack up the all-time Rams team, man, there's some great defensive linemen, pass rushers, running backs, offensive linemen. You get to the linebacker group, it's pretty slim pickings, really. I mean, there's some very good players, but compared to some of the other positions, wide receiver, running back, yeah, big difference. Okay, so your favorite there is Pooh Paul. What's my next question here? Who do you think is going to be the Rams' breakout player? Not talking about rookies or draft picks, 2nd, 3rd, 4th-year players. And, kind of throwing this is coming out of left field for you. So you want to give it some time to think about it. I can give you some recommendations, some names that might be under consideration. Your breakout guy, offense or defense, who is going to make their mark in 2025?
I have 1A and 1B.
Okay.
1A should be Jordan Whittington, and 1B should be Blake Corum.
I had a feeling you were going to say Corum. Yeah, and both make sense. Whittington is kind of maybe sort of obvious that he's going to be the number 3 wide receiver, and he's flashed enough. Both of them have flashed a little bit. I mean, by the end of the year, Corum's stats weren't very impressive, but I swear I think he had his 3 best runs were all called back. Yeah, right. Yeah, and as fans, we all know. You look at that play and you're like, the hold had nothing to do with the run. So, yeah, right. So for those of you on the podcast, Ernesto is showing us the referee's holding call. But I guess other guys, let me think about this. Who else might be a breakout player? Darion Kendrick, that'd probably be a reach. Not even sure if he's going to make this roster. He's a guy that I have a feeling, I talk about Darion Kendrick a lot, and I get a lot of crickets. I have a feeling I'm not getting a lot of agreement on that, but
he's made very, 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 very bad
right
pass interference calls, and he has been really hard to evaluate, but he's a reach for that.
Yeah,
breakout.
Right. Yeah. Other than that, offensive linemen, we're pretty much status quo there. Coleman Shelton, I wouldn't call him a breakout player. We know what he can do.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think Omar Spates could be a potential
Okay.
breakout player if he takes
Yeah.
it to another level. I mean, I think he's proven himself to be a decent linebacker.
Yes. Yes.
Could he take it to the next level, start getting some national recognition as a great linebacker? I suppose it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably he will be the breakout player in the defense side. Yes.
Yeah, and
I
I thought,
totally agree.
yeah, and both of our kickers, Ethan Evans, it seems like the second half of the year, he was just nailing it, coffin corner, getting the ball inside the 20. And Joshua Carty, and what an up and down year for him. It's hard to, really quantify a breakout year for our punters and kickers, but not as exciting as a breakout year for a linebacker or a wide receiver, but they could elevate their game and start getting. I think for Cardi, it would have to take consistently hitting some 50+ yarders. That would be what we need to see from him.
Cardi started very shaky, but
Right.
as the season went on, he was more steady. He stopped missing PATs.
Right.
So
That was sometimes painful to watch. It's I miss the days with Greg the Leg where and Matt Gay too. You don't even need to watch. He's going to make it. It was the last 2 or 3 years. Man, it was pretty painful, but nerve wracking. But Cardi did settle down at the latter half of the season.
we were used long timers. We were used to Greg the Leg or Jeff Wilkins. They're
Right.
They were very good.
Yeah, and if you want to go way back, Mike Lansford, he was another one that was really consistent. Didn't have a big leg, but very reliable.
From Chihuahua, Mexico, Frank Corral.
Frank Corral, that's right. UCLA. I think I talked about him recently. For whatever number he wore, we did. We talked about him a little bit in my uniform. Number 3, was it? Okay, so that must have been episode 703. I think I talked about him. I either talked about him or I thought about talking about him. Talk about so many players, sometimes I lose sight of what the heck I talked about. All right. Let's see. Well, what's the next question here? So I got a list of all the Rams games here. We touched on this earlier. And I was going to originally ask you which Rams game you're going to see at SoFi, but being that you're in the center of Mexico, maybe the question is going to be, what game do you want to go to this year? And I think we have to put, I assume getting to Atlanta or Carolina is just as easy as getting to LA. So, take your pick. Which one of these games, if you had your choice, which game are you going to this year?
Okay. Home, definitely the Lions.
Oh, nice.
Definitely. It's going to be on prime time. And I want to see them play in SoFi. I want to see them.
Yeah, that would, if nothing, that's going to be an electric game, and it's going to be very competitive, and there's some storylines there. So yeah, that would be fun. And the Lions are, they have a really good fan base, but I don't think they're going to, there's not going to be like 30,000 Lions fans there, right?
Yeah.
So
for
a little
me,
bit.
For a Mexican fan, it's very easy to go to Houston, but
Right.
the Texans are in SoFi. So that's a shame. That's a shame because I've been to Rams game at Houston. So it's a shame that they're playing in SoFi because that takes away one very big opportunity because there's a direct flight from my home city to Houston.
And they probably don't cost you an arm and a leg either, as opposed to going to Dallas, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And going away, I think to to go to Baltimore, for me, it would be a good experience. Never been to Baltimore, and it's going to be a very hard fought game, but I would like to go to that game also.
Yeah, yeah. If it's, I would go to that game if it's in September or October. Getting into late November, December, maybe not.
The cold.
Right. But you know, the Saints are in at SoFi this year, and that's another game that would be easy to get to if it was in New Orleans, right?
Yes, yes, but well, not as much because there's not direct flight from Mexico to New Orleans. We have to go
Oh,
to either Houston or go to Atlanta.
oh, okay. And they are in, they're in Atlanta this year, so that'd be another one that might be.
Yeah,
As you, I don't know if you saw my prediction. You know, if this is true that the Rams are going to be playing the Jags in London, I'm almost certain that the game prior to that will either be Atlanta, Carolina, or maybe Tennessee to make
yes,
that trip a little bit easier.
and then
And by the
after that, it's going to be the bye week.
Right, right. So we know a little bit. And by the way, just a side note here, my son went to see the Rams Saints in New Orleans this past year. And he said it was just a really enjoyable experience. Saints fans are really cool. You know, had a lot of nice conversations with them, got no harassment, you know, just a good time watching the Rams Saints. So that's kind of cool. I think there's a couple of stadiums where that might not be the case.
And the
But,
problem is that Derek Carr just retired this morning.
oh, did he? I did not know that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know he had the shoulder issue that he was
Yeah,
trying to come back from, right?
I think he just retired this morning.
Oh, wow. Breaking news. Thanks, Ernesto. I haven't checked my NFL news yet this morning, so good stuff. Okay, so I got one as one. How many questions have we done? I've lost track already. Those are the three
Three.
questions. Yeah, here's some question number 4. Who are the Rams playing in the Super Bowl, Ernesto? And I got the usual suspects on the screen here: Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Bengals, and I threw up the Texans and Chargers. But take your pick. Who are the Rams beating in the Super Bowl this year?
Uh, there. I would like to see the Bills, but they always manage to come up short every time. I would like to see them, but I think the Super Bowl could be against the Ravens.
Yeah. Yeah, that man, I hate playing against Lamar Jackson. I just really, really hate it. But so be it. You know, the Chiefs are an interesting team at this point. I just got this funny feeling that they've taken a step back and, you know, they're still going to be obviously a contender. And I could be completely wrong. They could run off another 3 Super Bowl wins. I think the Chargers are on the rise a little bit. And the Bengals, you know, they're kind of a bad luck franchise recently, but they're super talented. And the Texans, you know, CJ Stroud was the Jaden Daniels of the previous season, right? Maybe they
Yes,
bounced back a little bit. So yeah, if I had to take my pick, I got a sneaky suspicion the Bengals could surprise people this year, but we'll see. They kept those offensive weapons happy, but we'll have to see if it's you know, at the expense of other positions.
the
And
problem
they
is I think they have 3 players having the 45 or 50%
right,
of their cap hit.
right. Okay, so just so you know, you see, I put that on you. So if anybody's um, gonna call us out on this, they're gonna say Ernesto said the Rams are gonna beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
It's on
But
me. It's on
yeah,
me.
yeah. By the way, is that a Todd Gurley jersey you're wearing?
Of course.
Yeah, nice. And I don't know if you saw, did you follow the Legends draft we did the other day? It was actually not on this channel, so you might have missed it. Peo Time, the Canadian Ram fan, Rams Radar podcast. He had me and 3 other Rams content creators draft an all time Rams team. Did you catch any of that? It's okay if you didn't.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah. So the way it turned out, it kind of it wasn't my strategy, but we drafted 22 players plus punter, kicker, returner, and only one running back. So I hadn't really planned on this, but um, Marshall Faulk comes off the board. Eric Dickerson comes off the board, and who is the third one? I forget.
Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, who I was going to pick, and I sat and I was like, okay, so they've all got their running backs. Todd Gurley is still sitting there, and Jerome Bettis. So I waited till like the 20th round, and I picked Gurley, and I defended that by saying, and I still stand by this. I have some opinions that are probably certainly the minority, and throw darts at me, or tell me I'm wrong. That's fine, but for a 1.5, 2 year stretch, Todd Gurley might have been the greatest running back in the history of the National Football League. I mean, he was incredible.
Yes, he was really, really a nose for the end zone, and he was really great running and catching the ball, and he was exceptional. Something happened to his knee, but he was a great player. Lawrence McCutcheon could have been.
Yeah, he was on the list too. Gurley, but combination of speed and power, and that's what I liked about Steven Jackson too. And but one of my favorite plays, if I can picture a play in my head, the one that I can see most clearly is, I don't know what year it was. The Rams were playing in Seattle, and they were up like 28-0 with like a minute and a half left in the half, and they were at their own 45-yard line. And I can still hear the announcer, oh, they're going to hand it off to Gurley, running down the clock here. And he split that defense, and everybody looked like they were in slow motion, and he just ripped it to the end zone. I don't think anyone even touched him. We ran by Bobby Wagner, and Wagner, and Wagner, I think, may have been dinged up in that game at that time. But
it was a play design to set up a punt.
Right.
And he took it to the end zone and made it only worse. It was amazing to see the 12s leaving so early.
Right, and exactly. And I don't have anything against Seattle. They're for a divisional rival. I hold them in high regard. I think their fan base is awesome. They're very chill, and they respect the Rams for good reason, and I respect them. But I did enjoy watching those Seahawks fans, not as much as I enjoyed watching 49er fans filter out of SoFi, but still, it was good to see. Hey, Ernesto, man, good stuff. This is Ernesto Salgado, episode 3 with Ernesto from Puebla, Mexico. Good times, Ernesto. Thanks for joining me. And we'll do it again in a few months, maybe before the season. Have you back. How about that?
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking to you. I love your podcast, and thank you for having me and inviting me and making this Ram fan session could be so much enjoyable.
Okay, Ernesto, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya, Mark. Bye.
Okay, bye.